Mainstream media appears to be paying very little attention to what's going on in Paris. For example, CNN didn't even mention a third straight night of protests in the French capital, but France did come up in the weather forecast on the arrival of spring. And as unrest hit France, Russia also saw protests. These were against corruption earlier on Sunday. But the two events didn't get the same amount of attention in the Western mainstream media. RT's Emily Sue has more now on the coverage of the protests.
Violent clashes between riot police and the Chinese community has rocked Paris for days. Yet, for some reason, this hasn't been picked up by the mainstream media. After monitoring coverage on networks such as the BBC and CNN, we asked them why they didn't want the protests in the French capital in their bulletins. Only the BBC responded.
When you have protests and riots and you have something that is just newsworthy in terms of the visuals, you would think that would be so tempting. Just for somebody who says, look, I don't even know what this is about. I just have to keep feeding this 24/7 news cycle. They don't even do that. So it goes to show you very simply this. If it doesn't have anything to do with Putin or Trump, nobody's interested.
So what did they cover instead? Well, Syria, Brexit, Trump's travel ban, Ivanka Trump to serve as an unpaid presidential advisor, the U.S. Senate's probe into Russian meddling with the U.S. election. And, interestingly enough, both networks interviewed people who attended last week's anti-government protest in Moscow. Just when you thought something that happened days ago should have already been out of the news cycle.
It was like a nightmare. I couldn't believe my eyes. The police officer mentioned me, and he grabbed me by the hands.
Сейчас утихнет какое-то время, а вот будут выборы президента, и тогда, мне кажется, митинги вспыхнут с новой силой.
Some say choosing to give airtime to an old protest in Moscow, but not a current one in Paris, shows channels have a narrative they are determined to follow.
In France and probably in other European countries, let's say that there is a kind of Russia-phobia. I don't know why, but our mainstream media focuses a lot on the issues in Russia and not on the good sides.
Well, we discussed the issue with Patricia Chagnon. She's a member of France's National Front Party who believes that the story doesn't fit the mainstream's narrative.
It's a story that doesn't fit into the picture that the mainstream media are trying to feed to the French people. There is a problem with law and order in this country. There has been a government, there have been successive governments awfully slack with maintaining law and order in France, and we have the result now. So it definitely does not fit into their story to be showing these images and these images which are shocking. It looks like there is a civil war going on in Paris. These shocking images which actually will probably go and convince people that the causes, facing the problems and the solutions is not something they want to bring up.